Hello there, and welcome back to the Codex. So I recently got a very disgusting Invigoration on Frost, and that Invigoration is 200% ability strength and 1,000 armor. The reason why that is absolutely amazing to get on Frost is because both of those stats scale his abilities very directly. So a 200 strength is the more obvious one. That of course makes it easy to get the armor strip even without modding for an avalanche. Makes it do more damage. Makes your snow globe stronger if you ever use that, etc, etc. But we're also using Nourish as the helmet, so it buffs up the energy multiplier and the free viral damage from that. And we're using a triple augment build, and one of those augments is Freeze Force, so that gives you a ton of strength for a ton of cold damage from Freeze Force. Right now that is 300%. It'll actually be 340% because we're using Ice Storm. We're also using Growing Power, so it could be as high as 365% because I could get my strength up to 365 from the combination of having 300 strength and then another 40 from this, another 25 from this, so that's 365. So yeah, this is a triple augment build using Freeze Force for the cold damage, Icy Avalanche for the Overguard, and Biting Frost for the crit chance and crit damage. So Icy Avalanche really loves both the 200 strength and the 1000 armor, because obviously scaling up the strength just directly scales this ability. It makes the armor conversion higher. As you can see, the armor to Overguard conversion is now 78%. So the more armor you have, it's converted into extra Overguard on top of the Overguard cap, and the regular amount of Overguard that you get per enemy hit, of course, goes up. You can see it went from 60 to 234. Now, since I got that flat extra 1,000 armor, that 78% armor to Overguard bonus conversion is now much higher, and that 1,000 extra armor allows me to use Arcane Battery, which is why I have nearly 1,000 energy now without having Prime Flow on. So there's a lot of synergy that this Invigoration enabled. And one more note about Biting Frost. So Biting Frost, this is not affected by power strength. You just get the 200% crit chance, 200% crit damage. But on some weapons, this is dramatically stronger than it looks, because on some weapons, it's bugged to be multiplicative. It seems to be a similar bug to the galvanized damage mods, where on like projectile type weapons it's multiplicative. For example, it definitely seems to be multiplicative on glaives, because my Zorus hits up to like tier 3 red crits against frozen enemies, which is way more crit chance than I should be getting if it was just a modded 200% crit chance. So that's a ton of damage. And speaking of Biting Frost, the way that it activates is only against frozen enemies, so something like a Tenet Galaxion is an amazing weapon to use, especially with the Freeze Force augment making me have a extremely high cold weighting. And because of that super high cold weighting, I actually took off Prime Cryo rounds and put Vital Sense back on, so I have both Vital Sense and Photon Overcharger. I am using the Nautilus with the Verglass Prime, and this has Shivering Contagion on, so this will carry over to my Galaxion. I'm not going to take any of my ribbons off for this build, because this isn't like a build showcase video. This video is just for like showing, like, hey, you should really check your Invigorations, because you can get crazy shit like this. So this is more of just a fun video showing a really over-the-top setup. So I am going to keep on my super good Verglass ribbon here. I'm going to keep on my crit chance, crit damage Lex ribbon. And I'm going to keep on my crit chance initial combo Zorus ribbon, because again, this is not a build video. I already have videos for weapons like this where you've seen them without ribbons and whatnot. This is just a going crazy mode video. Now, I am using a Corrosive Shard of my Frost, even though I have Icy Avalanche. A lot of the time I won't actually need to use Avalanche, because you'll see that a single cast gives me a shitload of Overguard, so I don't really need to spam it. So this still gives me some really nice armor strip just from the Corrosive on the Galaxion without having to use Avalanche all the time. So let's go ahead and hop into a mission and show how insane this Invigoration is. As you can see, per usual, the Verglass does lots of work here. Let's go ahead and pop that Overguard. They go 32,000 Overguard in a single cast is fucking insane. Let's go ahead and cast Freeze Force and Nourish, and we'll see how crazy this is. Extremely crazy, as you can see. Now let's see the Zorus damage. Yeah, that's 3 exclamation marks. That's literally like a tier 4 red crit. That is so much more damage than that augment is supposed to be adding to the weapon. And I'm not complaining about it. It's pretty fucking sick. Yeah, basically on-demand, full freeze, massive crit chance, crit damage increase. Totally immortal with the amount of overguard I can generate in a single cast. This build is one of the most gross invigorations that I've ever gotten, honestly. I am also getting that 60% fire rate and an extra 1.2x crit multiplier from my Nautilus, so that's a nice little boost on the side there. Basically, this setup is just entirely overkill for this level of enemies, and honestly, even if I stayed here for like 2 hours, this build, because of the armor strip and the massive damage bonuses and the massive super instant defensive values I can add to myself, this would scale for hours into this mission. Like, the kind of gameplay you're seeing now, how fast I'm killing these guys, I would be killing them just as fast if this mission was 2 hours later and they were level whatever they would be by then, 3, 4, 5, 600, 700, wouldn't matter. They would die still instantaneously because there's too many damage buffs for them to handle. I mean, look at that overguard. And on top of that, I could throw down a Nidus Spectre, and they would give me a multiplicative 28% power strength increase. Then if I cast my overguard, now I'm at, yeah, 88,000 just about. So even more strength. And even higher buffs. Yeah, so this is just gross. Highly recommend that you guys check your invigorations and look out for stuff like this. At first, I looked at it and I was like, who should I put the 200 strength on it? And I didn't even think about the armor. But then, you know, like as Frost came across my mind, and I was like, you know, Frost would actually really like both of those stats. So especially when you have that Invigoration available, giving you the option to put that Invigoration on any frame, really think about your options. There's a lot of fun combinations you can do when you utilize the right Invigoration on the right frame. Now, speaking of disgusting amounts of overguard, let me hop into a Fissure and get corrupted and show you the truly insane amount of overguard you can get when you get that double strength bonus. And so now I've gotten corrupted with the double strength and double range, and I threw that on Nidus Spectre. Let's see how crazy we can get this overguard to be. 175,000. Nearly 176,000, and that was, I went from 30k to 175k in a single cast. That is so fucking ridiculous. Let's cast our buffs here, see what our damage is like. I would say good enough, yeah. And especially if you throw down an Ancient Healer Spectre. Where is he? Am I blind? This guy right here. For those of you that don't know, this guy, when you stand near him, gives you a 90% damage redirection. So he takes 90% of the damage that you would take as long as you're within 10 meters of him. And that works on overguard. So if I stand within 10 meters of this guy, my 175,000 overguard is effectively worth 1.75 million overguard. So I am a unkillable god with this amount of overguard when you're standing near one of these guys. So just keep that in mind if you want to play as Frost and really juice up his defensive ability on Steel Path missions. But yeah, that's about it for this video. As you can see, this Invigoration is disgusting. And as an example of why you need to check out your weekly Invigorations, even if you don't like your Invigorations, make sure that you're applying them so that you can build up that override charge. That way, about once a month or so, when you do get an Invigoration that you really like, but it's not on the frame you want, you can move it to the frame that you do want to put it on, like I did it with this Frost here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is just a fun little video, not one of my usual guide type videos. If you do like it, consider dropping a like, consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really, really helps the channel. It helps me get out there to more people. You guys are amazing, and I'll see you in the next one.